Thank you.
Thank you, Louise, and welcome everybody. Yes, my name's Lydia and I'm going to be talking to you about applying to medicine today. So a quick schedule to start. I will be talking about choosing a medical school, studying medicine, the application process, the pathways programs that we offer here at Birmingham, and also some alternative routes into medicine. So choosing a medical school. You need to think about things like the course structure. So I'm just going to give you some examples here. So for example, Oxbridge follows quite a traditional structure. So they have 2 years of preclinical study followed by 3 years of clinical study. So the first 2 years you spend entirely in lectures. And you can also choose an integrated degree. So at the University of Birmingham, you start your clinical placements from day one. You can also have problem-based learning courses, which is a lot of group work activity, and also case-based learning, which is the same as problem-based learning, but based in a clinical setting. You'll also need to think about things like entry requirements, the admissions test policy, the location of the university. As the course of medicine is mainly the same at every university, you'll need to think about where you want to live. Do you want to live in a mainly city-based area, or would you like to live out of the way a bit in the countryside? You've only got 4 choices for medicine, so choose wisely. And you can use this website here, the Medic portal, to compare up to 4 medical schools at once. And don't worry about taking any of these links down that I'll be talking about, as the presentation will be sent round to you afterwards. So a quick word about open days. They're a good way to choose what medical school you want to go to. You'll experience firsthand where you may learn and possibly live. You'll get to do detailed course research. The lecturers will be there on hand to answer any of the questions that you have about how the course is taught or anything like that. What else can a university offer you? They might have different facilities that aren't related to your degree. Like, is it important for you to have good sports facilities if that's what you like to do in your spare time, for instance? You'll get the opportunity to ask questions, and you'll also get to use your gut instinct as well. When you set foot onto the campus, do you think, yes, this is a place that I could call my home? And just a quick flag that our open day is this Saturday, and we still have places to sign up. This will be the last one of the year, which is the same for a lot of universities. So if you haven't been to an open day yet, now is the time to consider going to one. So studying medicine at Birmingham goes a little bit like this. We have a strong community feel and an award-winning medical society. Some of the UK's leading hospitals work with us, including the QE hospital, which is located right next to us. We have an excellent clinical experience with a diverse population at Birmingham, with a vast range of illnesses that you'll be dealing with on placement. A multidisciplinary learning environment, and you'll be immersed in research environments, including lab settings and community research trials. So I'm just going to play a quick video here, The Life of a Medical Student. And please let me know if this works.
The 5-year medicine degree is split into 2 preclinical years based mainly in the medical school and 3 years of predominantly clinical attachments. Also, at the University of Birmingham, experience of general practice starts in the first year and continues throughout all 5 years.
Hi there, my name is Fahad, and I'm starting today with an anatomy class. These sessions are held in small groups, led by trainee surgeons with an interest in teaching to help our understanding. At Birmingham, we also have access to a prosectorium, where we can view dissected specimens to help aid our understanding of the human anatomy.
Ready for anatomy?
Sure, let's go.
Hi, my name's Manj and I'm a fourth year medical student. Today I'm on placement at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, which is just behind the medical school. I'm just heading to my 9 AM clinic where I'll have the opportunity to talk to patients, take histories and practice my clinical examinations. During the clinical years we are also able to visit the wards where we can practice clinical skills such as taking blood and setting up drips.
Hi, my name's Maddie, and today I'm on GP placement. Once a fortnight, we're timetabled to visit a GP practice where we get to meet patients and go through case scenarios with a tutor. This early patient contact is great preparation for when we start our clinical placements in the third year.
Hello again. I have just finished a small group teaching session. All group teaching takes part in small M groups and are usually physiology or pathology based, relating closely to the lecture programme. Apart from small group teaching sessions, the first 2 years are predominantly lecture based, with the rest of the year grouped.
During the clinical years, you can observe various operations, which are great for testing anatomy knowledge from the preclinical years. The surgeons are usually keen to teach and are happy to explain as you go along.
Student surgeries are a great way to gain confidence in seeing patients independently. We normally work on our own or in pairs to take a history, examine the patient and present our findings to the GP. This way we are able to test our own knowledge and practice formulating a patient management plan. Tonight we are going out to a youth offending service to teach CPR and hemorrhage control to at-risk young people as part of the student-run charity Street Doctors.
Street Doctors is one of the many charities within MedSoc, which is an overarching society made up of students with several courses. There are also various sports teams as well as societies ranging from emergency medicine to amateur dramatics.
MedSoc societies give students from a different range of courses and years a chance to meet. It's a great way to make new friends.
Okay, so I hope you found that video quite useful about the life of a medical student. So I'm just going to talk you through the medicine curriculum here. So as they stated in the video, the first 2 years are mainly about building up your medical knowledge through lectures, although you will still have clinical placements from day one. And then as you move up through the years, you'll build on your not existing knowledge through clinics and broadening the professional phase all the way up to managing the patients by yourself. And then following on from your degree, these are some career pathways that you can get into. When you finish your degree, you'll become known as what's called a junior doctor, and you'll do that for 2 years. And then you can choose to go on to either GP training or other specialty training, such as different types of surgeons, for another 5 to 8 years. Different medical careers that you can choose from include GPs, which make up 50% of medicine graduates. And you can also choose from other specimens like pediatrics and radiology and acute medicine. So I'm just going to talk you through the application process now. The application process can be split up into 5 stages. These are academic grades, your work experience, admissions tests, the personal statement, and interviews. So for 2022 entry, the standard offer at the University of Birmingham is A-star AA. Applicants must be predicted AAA, including biology or human biology and chemistry. And just to note that general studies, critical thinking and EPQ are not accepted as a third A level, and AS grades will not be used for selection. For GCSEs, you'll need a total of 7 subjects, and the required ones are English language at grade 6 or higher, maths at grade 6 or higher, and biology and chemistry or dual award science at grade 6 or higher as well. So some other things to consider. You won't be at a disadvantage if you apply for deferred entry or after you have completed your school qualifications. You can't reapply if your application is previously rejected at interview, but they will consider those applying for medicine for a second time round if you didn't get through to the interview stage. And resits aren't accepted. However, for those who are taking their exams for the first time following their calculated grades in 2020 and 2021, they will accept that as the first take of your exam. So moving on to work experience. You will need evidence of a commitment to a public servant role, so serving the community. This can include healthcare experience, which should be long-term and caring for vulnerable people. Direct clinical observation isn't required, but volunteering is still useful. And some paid work may also be relevant. You'll also need to show evidence of the relevant personal qualities that you'll need to be a doctor. And these can be done through organisational or leadership roles in societies and clubs that you do, or activities outside of school and college as well. You'll also need to reflect on your work experience, and this will be useful for the personal statement, which I will be discussing in a bit. Think about what you did, and the description is the least important. It's more important to focus on what you've learnt. So what did you learn about yourself from completing the work experience? And what did you learn about as well? Think about what doctors do and what makes a good doctor. So moving on to admissions tests. There are two different types of admissions tests that you can do as part of your medicine application. The most common one is the UCAT, which can only be taken once a year from July to October and should be taken from May of year 12. And there's also the BMAT as well, which I'll be discussing. So the UCAT is a test used by a consortium of 26 UK university medical and dental schools. And you sit the test in the same year that you apply through UCAS. It's a 2-hour multiple choice computer-based test. And I've just made this little diagram here of how you will split your time during the UCAT test. So you can see that most of your time will be spent on decision analysis, but it is a fairly equal split between all of the factors here. There's also the BMAT, like I said. It's an admission test for applicants to medicine, but it's only used at certain universities. For example, the University of Birmingham doesn't require that you take the BMAT. It's a 2-hour pen and paper test divided into 3 sections that test your aptitude and skills, your scientific knowledge and applications, and there's also a writing task, and this is normally taken in November. So how do you prepare for your admissions test? Well, there's plenty of ways that you can. There's lots of information on the UCAT and BMAT websites. This includes fully timed practice tests and additional questions. There's also lots of official guides where you can practice different parts of the test, apps as well, the YouTube channel. It's best to familiarise yourself with the requirements and question styles in each subtest as well. So you can see, oh, I've only got so much time left. I better move on to this next section. And you can expect to spend around 21 to 30 hours preparing for the tests. So moving on to the personal statement. You might be asking, what do I include in a personal statement? You should include your motivation for medicine, a realistic understanding of the medicine profession. Do you understand what it takes to be a doctor every day? Your work experience in a healthcare setting, like I discussed before. Different transferable skills that you've had. So on your placement, you would have learned about skills like communication, for example, and time management. These are skills that you can transfer from any experiences, work-related or at college, and apply these to your degree. So it's very important that you recognise these transferable skills, as they will be applicable in a lot of different fields. So like I said, things like time management skills, teamwork, communication and leadership. And some good resources on how to know what to include on your statement is listed here, and I will be sending these around as well. You'll also need to show that you're self-motivated and can take on responsibility, as you'll be looking after patients, as the video said, sometimes on a one-to-one basis. So you'll need to show that level of responsibility. And you'll also need to show your interests outside of medicine, your extracurriculars. So this shows that you are a good, well-rounded person. Some examples of the personal qualities that you can show through your extracurricular activities include things like communication, empathy, because you'll need to empathise with patients, and things like resilience. As we all know, COVID has been really hard on the NHS, and they've need to shown a lot of resilience over the past couple of years. And problem solving, there's not always a clear-cut solution to how best to treat the patient. So you'll need to work together to solve those sorts of problems as well. And a good trick that I used to use when I was doing my personal statement was something called the ABC method. So this is a good way of telling you how to write your personal statement. So whenever you talk about anything, a point that you're making on your application, you start off with the activity. Think, what have you done? So for example, you could be talking about playing an instrument. You'll next say what benefit this had on you. What are the skills that you've gained from doing this activity? So for example, playing an instrument will help your manual dexterity skills. And then next you'll say about how this prepares you for the course. And in this case, manual dexterity is useful because you'll need these fine motor skills to work with surgical equipment. So I'm just going to show you a little clip about what the admissions tutors will be looking for on a personal statement. Seems like that link's not working, but don't worry about it. I will send that round at the end of the presentation. So to conclude, you'll need to think about why medicine? Why is it that you want to study medicine? And why you as a doctor? What's the skills that you have that would make you a great doctor? Yes, your skills and experiences will help you to answer these two questions. And remember to relate it all back to medicine. That I used to work as an ambassador and helping students with their personal statement. And the one thing that I would notice over and over again is that they've taught a lot of really good information about the things that they've done in their work experience and the skills that they've gained, but they didn't relate it back to how it would benefit them on the course. So that's a really good skill to learn. Always relate it back to medicine so that the admissions tutors will think, yes, they really want to study here and they really want to study medicine. And also the usual advice, avoid cliches like I've always known that I wanted to be a doctor, and make sure that you do a spelling and grammar check as well. And remember that the UCAS deadline will be on the 15th of October. So I know for the Year 13s on this call, this will already have passed, but for the Year 12s, it will be the 15th of October next year. So finally, we're going to be moving on to interviews for the last stage of the application process. So to prepare for your interview, it's a good place to start at the Medical Schools Council's website, which I have hyperlinked here. Develop an understanding of your experiences and from your reading. Think about what's inspiring to you and what's interesting, what's going on in the world right now, and why should we be thinking about it. What facilities and impairs good healthcare, and reflect critically on your own abilities. It's all well and good saying, oh, I'm really great at this, that, and the other, but you can also think about what is there to improve so that you can prove to your admissions tutors that you are willing to learn. Form your own opinions and be flexible. This will show that you're really interested because you have bothered to take that extra step and not sit on the fence. And also prepare to do mock interviews. And you can do this with friends, your families, or your teachers perhaps. And this will help you prepare yourself, as interviews can be very scary. So make sure that you're best prepared, and practicing with others is a good way to help with that. And ensure that your views are challenged as well. That's the good thing about having another person there. They can be like, so why do you think that? Whereas if you're practicing by yourself, you might not necessarily remember to do that. So as part of University of Birmingham interviews, you will have multiple mini interviews. And these will be made up of 5 one-to-one discussions of around 6 minutes each, plus 2 calculation stations. And the format of the interviews are as follows. You'll get a hypothetical situation, which is either described to you or you'll have a role play. You'll be asked to describe your past behaviour in certain situations. And you'll also be assessed on your characteristics as well, including your communication skills, commitment to healthcare practice, empathy skills, resilience and honesty, and rational decision making. And just to note that this year, the interviews will be online. So the invitations and decisions. Invitations to interview are normally sent out between December and January, and they'll take place between January and February. Your interview status won't show up on UCAS Track, so it's important to check all your email addresses that you've used for your application. Check your junk mail. Sometimes emails from the university end up in there, so make sure that you don't miss out on an interview. And we aim to have all decisions made on UCAS Track by mid-March, and these are final decisions. So now I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the Pathways to Birmingham scheme, which some of you may be eligible for. So just to give you a little bit of a background of what Pathways to Birmingham is, these are widening participation programs designed to help those students that don't necessarily have a lot of experience with higher education. Perhaps their parents didn't go to university. And it's to give them an insight of what university life is like and to help them going forward with their applications. So you can see the pathways that are highlighted in green here. These are the ones that will be the most relevant to you. So if you're in year 12, you can apply to the Routes to the Profession scheme. And if you're in year 13, you can apply for the Access to Birmingham scheme. If you're in year 12, you can also apply for the Academic Enrichment Programme and Inspired at Birmingham as well, but the Routes to the Profession scheme will be the most relevant to you, as this one is entirely based around medicine. So to be eligible for P2B, we look at a variety of criteria, such as your school performance, and that being your secondary school, your parents' experience of university, your household income, and you only need to meet 3 of these measures. And to find out more information, I've hyperlinked the website there, so you can have a look at all our criteria. So you might be thinking, what's in it for you? You'll receive an alternative offer of typically around 2 grades below the standard prospective offer, but note for medicine it's actually 3 grades below the typical offer, but for all other healthcare related programs it is 2 grades. And you'll also be eligible to receive financial support dependent on your Year 13 results and your personal circumstances. And as part of these two programs as well, you'll get mock interview support. This is an afternoon session with current undergraduates who will set you up with a mock interview and help you know all the tips and tricks to prepare for when the interview takes place. You'll also get the current students sharing their experiences. And yes, it's for all these subjects, so medicine, dentistry, nursing, all of those different subjects. So the Routes to the Profession scheme, which is for Year 12 students, it's a programme which offers a unique opportunity for Year 12 students to gain insight into university study. It focuses on specific vocational courses, so that being dentistry, medicine, nursing, all of those subjects. So this Year 12 programme will be the most relevant to you. And this is the makeup of the R2B programme. So these are all the elements that are involved. So you'll get to shadow a current student on campus, so you'll get to see for yourself the life of a medical student, and they'll also help you get some work experience and some insight into the medical field. You'll also get help with your applications, so this can be your personal statement, but also the UCAT and the BMAT as well. Like I said, you'll have mock interviews as well, and throughout this whole process you'll have a student mentor. So this will be done on an online platform where you can message someone who is currently studying medicine, any questions that you have about what they're studying at the moment, what it's like to apply to medicine. If you have any questions, they can help you out, and they will be helping you with your personal statement as well. So for the Year 13 students among you, there's the Access to Birmingham scheme as well, which also helps to provide those with little experience of higher education to discover what studying at university is like. And for this one, it's for those who know that they will be applying to the University of Birmingham. So for the Routes to the Profession scheme, you don't necessarily have had to have made your mind up about whether you're applying to University of Birmingham or not, but for Year 13, it is for UOB applicants only. And you must not have completed another P2B programme or the Realising Opportunities programme, as I know some of you may be on those programmes already. So a lot of people ask, if I complete a programme in Year 12, do I need to complete another one in Year 13? It's now changed so that you only need to complete one programme. So if you complete the Routes to the Professions programme in Year 12, your alternative offer will last until you start your degree. So you don't need to worry about doing another Pathways programme. And this is what the A to B scheme looks like. So you'll start with a launch day, and that's from the current undergraduates who will tell you about what studying at university is like, get an insight into the different ways of studying at university, and help you with different study skills that you'll need. You'll get your mock interviews, and there'll also be an academic activity involved. So this will be a small group session with an academic where they will set you a short little activity. Normally you'll have some things to read in advance for this, and you'll come back and discuss what you thought about the material and discuss it with others as well, as that's what you'll be doing in your small group discussions when at university. There's also the opportunity for online tuition. This isn't a mandatory part of the programme, but there is an opportunity for up to, I think it's 10 students to have online tuition, which is run through the website My Tutor. You'll have 10 free sessions on any one subject that you have at university, at college, sorry. So you can choose from biology, chemistry, or any other subject that you might have. And I myself did this when I was in year 13, and I could say that my history grade wouldn't be as good as it was without the online tuition. So it's a really good opportunity to be tutored by a current undergraduate student. And then at the end, once you've got your A-level results and you're a part of the university, you'll have a university kick-off event, which is a nice fun day. You'll get to meet lots of other new undergraduate students like yourselves will be, and find out about what's happening on campus before everybody else, as this takes place about a week before Freshers Week. So it's a good opportunity to get a head start on university life before everybody else. So some quick tips for applying to medicine through the Pathways to Birmingham scheme, bit of information. The typical offer, like I said before, is A-star AA for medicine, including chemistry and biology. But the P2B offer is ABB, and you'll also need chemistry and biology as well. And you'll need to have minimum predicted grades of BBB to be considered for an offer. For GCSEs, you'll need a minimum of 7 GCSEs, and with a minimum of 3 at grade 7, including 2 7s from English language, maths or science. And for all of these subjects, you'll need a minimum of grade 5 if you don't have the 7s, if that makes sense. And the offers aren't guaranteed. To keep your Pathways offer, you must make the University of Birmingham your firm choice on UCAS and also successfully complete the programme. So this is what successful completion of the Pathways to Birmingham programmes looks like. You'll be expected to actively participate in the programme. So this will be engaging with your mentors and making sure to use the chat functions online and attending all the compulsory events. You'll also do a Skills for Uni online quiz, which is a study skills platform set up by the University of Birmingham, and it will help you develop online study skills such as referencing, academic writing, finding reliable sources and different revision techniques as well. And you'll need to get at least a 50% in this quiz to pass. But if you get a 75% score, you'll also be eligible for the P2B scholarship of £1,500 per year if you get your standard grade. And you'll also complete a reflective activity. So this is like a short little assignment saying about what you've learned on your time on the programme. It's normally about 4 questions that only 200 words each, so it's not too long, and they'll just ask you questions about different things that you've learned and what would you do if you had the chance to do it again, things like that. And then after all that, you'll be eligible for an alternative offer of up to 3 grades with medicine. It's normally 2 grades. And you'll also be eligible for different bursaries and scholarships, like I mentioned, but this depends on your A-level results. So how to apply to Pathways to Birmingham? Check your eligibility on the website, and then you can complete your online application at pathways-to-birmingham.co.uk. You must enter the correct P2B coordinator on the form. So in that case, that is Louise for you. And your coordinator will complete the online form for us to review. And if things don't go as planned, you don't need to panic, because there are lots of other choices that you can do to get into medicine at a later date. And it's also good to consider these as well, because you can only choose 4 choices of medical schools, so you'll need a 5th choice. You can choose from things like biomedical science and biomedical materials, human biology, and for all of these courses you'll need AAB. And for chemistry you may need ABB, and this is dependent on your subject choices. So if you choose chemistry and biology, you'll normally get the lower grade reduction, but if you only have chemistry, you'll have an offer of AAB. So these are some of the careers that you can choose from that have patient contact in them. You can choose from nursing, pharmacy, dentistry, physiotherapy, and all of these have different entry requirements. Like, for example, physiotherapy, you need 7 GCSEs at A star to B. You can also choose to go into medicine after you graduate as well, and this is a 4-year course that the University of Birmingham offers. So yes, like I said, it's for entry to medicine after your undergraduate degree. It's an option to consider if you made it to interview for the undergraduate course, because you might remember that I said earlier that those who made it to interview won't be considered again. But that goes away after 3 years. So if you did make it to interview, you can apply for this afterwards. And you'll need a 2-1 in a suitable subject. And by this, we mean a subject that focuses primarily on biology rather than chemistry. But a quick word of warning about that. The following degrees that you might have considered would be suitable aren't considered. So, for example, things like midwifery or paramedic science, you might have thought those would be eligible. And I just thought I would give a bit of a warning about that to save a little bit of disappointment down the line if you found out that you couldn't then go on to graduate medicine after that. So that's just some important information for you to know. But on a lighter note, there's some useful resources for you if you want to be a doctor here. So there's things like the Student Biomedical Journal that you can start to read to get a bit of an insight into what being a doctor's like. And there's all these different websites as well that have really good insights. So a quick checklist before we finish. You should identify which medical schools you are going to apply to. Check you meet the entry requirements. Think about your admissions test or tests. Finalise your personal statement and have a plan B. Prepare for interviews as well. And the application deadlines, I've noted them down here for you. So if you wanted to apply to the A to B scheme this year, the deadline is coming up quickly. It's the 15th of November. But this is also only a form as well, so you'll only need to say if you're eligible for the scheme or not. So don't worry that the deadline is coming up soon. You're just saying if you're eligible or not, and then we can process the application. And the Roots to the Profession deadline is the 23rd of November. And then the UCAS deadline for this year has already passed. So for the year 12s in the room, it's the 15th of October 2022. And just another quick flag about the open day, which is this Saturday. Make sure that you're considering open days, because it's getting to that time of year where the open days are starting to stop. So it's a good job to consider all the different open days that are currently available at the moment, as I know there's quite a few coming up in the next week or so. So thank you for listening. Do you have any questions?
Thanks so much for that, Lydia. That was so good. It was really, really useful. Lots of information there to take in. If any students would like to put any questions that they have into the chat function, we'll go through those. I've got 2 questions which were put in beforehand. So if you wanted to sort of run through those, Lydia, would that be okay?
Yes, I think I'm just going to stop presenting for a minute so I can get to the chat function. I can't see any questions.
None in there at the moment. I have one that says, what career path can I take if I choose biomedicine at university? That was by somebody who inputted that when they booked on.
So there's lots of different careers that you can go into for biomedical science. You can become a researcher into different medical fields and looking into medicine, like how they develop medicine itself. And you can also go on to graduate study medicine as well after you completed your biomedical science degree.
Right, that's lovely, thank you. And one other question that was entered prior to the training was, do you have to get all A/A stars in A levels, especially in chemistry, to do medicine?
So for the standard offer, you'll need an A star AA grade, but this is in any order. So it doesn't matter if you get the A star in biology or chemistry, as long as you've got A star AA. And then that's a similar case for the pathways to Birmingham as well. It's A, B, B, and it doesn't matter which grade you get the A in.
That's great, thank you very much. I can see that there has been one question on the chat, which is for work experience. Do we need it in year 12 with A level as well?
I would say with work experience, the sooner you start, the better. As the admissions tutors do prefer it if you have longer work experience placements, as this shows your dedication to the role by having long placements. So yeah, the sooner that you start, the better.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. From our point of view at the college, we would always encourage students of any subject area that they're interested in going in, but in particular for medicine, to ensure that they are looking at work experience throughout year 12. And obviously that's something we can talk to students about if they're struggling, particularly at the moment, because you know, a lot of work experience has been online rather than in person, and that has been slightly more difficult to come by. Have you noticed that in terms of with applications, Lydia? Has there been a sort of a relaxation where that's concerned in terms of whether it needs to be in person or online over this last year or so?
So yes, we've noticed that there's been a lot more online work experience this year, but obviously that is because of the circumstances that we are in, and it's important to just make the best of the situation. So any work experience is better than no work experience, in our opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the skills that you mentioned earlier, you know, identifying the skills that are transferable from the activities that you do, really. That's really important. So that's great. Lou, do you have any other questions or input into this before we...
Yeah, thank you. If you can hear me, I was going to say, I think Liv has also asked how would I go about applying, and I'm presuming that's a work experience. What I would suggest for any students who are struggling with work experience or want some advice on that, to come and make a careers appointment at careers@keds.ac.uk, so that Faye and myself can explore that with you, because we're familiar with obviously the kind of requirements, and we can always run things by Lydia for that. Another question for you, Lydia, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
We have students last year and this year who've been studying the WJEC Criminology BTEC Applied Diploma, which is the equivalent to an A-level. It's not the healthcare diploma, but it is the Applied Diploma. And I know that you mentioned about BTECs not being acceptable. Could you clarify for us either now or perhaps later on, and we can circulate that some universities will accept 2 A-levels plus the Applied Diploma BTEC. But could you clarify that about Birmingham, please?
Oh, so it will be done on a case-by-case basis. We say BTECs on a general basis typically aren't accepted at the University of Birmingham, but a good resource to contact is our medicine's admissions team, and that's medicineadmissions@contacts.bham.ac.uk. I can type that in the chat for you so that you've got the link.
Thank you.
So they're a good first point of contact for anything medicine related at UAB as well. So it's a good email address to have. I'm just typing it in now.
Really helpful. Thank you very much. Just so that we can be clear from the start. Thank you very much, and we'll do some make some inquiries and circulate some information if students are interested in that. The other thing is that some of our students who may be online tonight are studying alternative healthcare profession ideas rather than just medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered if you have any advice for them. You mentioned some of those in your kind of warning thing about you know, not then being able to go on to do medicine. But some of our healthcare pathway students may be wanting to do midwifery or physiotherapy or ophthalmology. Are there any resources, or could we run a separate talk for those students at some point?
Oh, the best resources to check are things like the NHS Core Values website. There's also a link for the General Medical Council Achieving Good Medical Practice as well. Some of the websites that I had in my presentation as well from the NHS as well. They're good links to have, but we can also do a further talk in the future for ones that are specifically not biomedical or medical related, like such as psychiatry. I've seen in the chat, for example. We can sort that out.
Yes, I think that might be helpful. So perhaps we can arrange that so that students who are listening this evening, but not particularly thinking of medicine or need an alternative to medicine, then perhaps we could arrange something specifically that would cover those. Would that be okay?
Yes, that would be good.
Lovely. Thank you, Lydia. Are there any further questions that anybody has? And we'll try and cover the psychiatry one. We might be able to find some further information by Lydia specifically for that anyway and forward that to you. But we'll certainly then we'll try and run a separate session. If there are no further questions, I'm just waiting to see them in the chat. But that's been absolutely superb, Lydia. I know Faye and I'm most grateful to you, and I know our students are too, for you joining us this evening, especially being an ex-KE student and alumni, and we do hope we can welcome you back soon. If there are any further questions after the session, please email careers@, and we will forward those to Lydia and get some responses. And in the meantime, I guess, Faye, we just want to say thank you to the students and specifically thank you to Lydia.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lydia.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be back, albeit virtually.
All right. Good night, students. Thank you. Bye.